So we're live both on Instagram and YouTube. Gonna go ahead and wait. All right. Hello, hello. Okay, so wherever you're joining, please let me know. Let me know how you're feeling. Happy Monday. Bless. Okay, so awesome. So we are live on both my YouTube and my Instagram. So you're going to see me looking at two screens. That is the reason. And let me know, type in the chat box how you're feeling, where you're joining from. Palm Beach, yay. All right. Hello. Okay, so I will start by introducing myself. For those, I started doing the broadcast on YouTube. So, for those, Peru. Hello, Peru. I just got back from Peru. Amazing. Hello. Feeling the shift. Yes. Canada, Izmir, amazing. Cappadocia, one of my favorite places on the face of the earth. Amazing. So welcome everybody. I'm Satya Lights and I am a clinical hypnotherapist. I am a trauma-informed somatic embodiment mentor. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a medicine woman. I'm an artist. I'm a poet. I'm a writer. And whatever it is that I am speaking into is the culmination and the embodiment of everything that I have been studying for the past 20 years. So, I love looking at things from multiple different perspectives. I love bringing things into, really practical steps instead of having this like big spiritual concepts. I love bringing things in the body. I love, really bringing everything into the body and like being the bridge. So whatever it is I'm sharing, they are coming through the filter of those. So just wanted to put it out there. And amazing. Thank you so much for all of you. Wow, we have an amazing group of people from all over the world. And, what an amazing activation of the grids. So I really welcome all of you beautiful beings. Thank you. So I did name this broadcast, Guess Why You May Be Settling for Less. So I personally am going through coming out of a huge initiation process, and the integration process as a result of that initiation. And I am being represented by the whole new level of being and playing this game of life. Yet there's the vulnerable parts and all the stuff that are not actually in alignment with what I am being invited to also in surface. So I'm doing some really deep work myself, which, that's the story of my life, seems like. And so, settling for less is one of the topics that's coming to surface, and it is in alignment with everything that I'm sharing. So I want to actually speak into that a little bit. So, I was journaling in the morning. One of the questions that I ask myself, are you a type of person that is actually betting, like that has the courage to bet on herself? And I'm asking this question to you. Are you a type of person that has the courage to bet on themselves? And, this is, even though it sounds like this, really empowering and beautiful question, it is also, brings up a lot of stuff. Like where in our experience we're not really trusting ourselves enough to bet. Where in our lives we are actually not trusting ourselves enough to, dare to dream really big and show up for it. Where in our lives we're not trusting ourselves enough to say that we are worthy of like what we are visioning in our lives. We are worthy of receiving that. Where in our lives we're not trusting ourselves. And yes, there are so many parts that like we do trust, we're learning, right? Like this is the whole game of like learning to trust ourselves. And where, in what areas, in like, and in my experience, it is becoming so intricate and so like detailed, so fine-tuned. So like it requires my 100% presence so that I don't miss it, because like I've done quite some work in my life. So the surface level looks okay, but there's like the fine-tuning of the frequential stuff that gets to be that invites my presence. So I want to actually really speak into that so that, maybe you would get inspired to pay attention to those things yourself also. So I took some notes, and it is going to be around really betting on ourselves and showing up for ourselves. And what is it that is actually keeping us like to reduce ourselves? And, if you have been in my field, I have been speaking into this for years, because uh, ultimately, it is all a programming, and we don't know what we don't know. And can we actually be humble enough, be available enough to actually hear what we haven't heard before, because maybe we were not there yet to comprehend that, and now we are there. So, you know, it's to say and claim a thing about ourselves is one thing, and to keep, even though we say and claim that and believe that that's how we move in life, can we also be humble enough to actually stay available for more gifts to unravel and reveal themselves? And along the way, watching how the programmings that are still there are trying to convince us to settle for less, and to think that maybe that's maybe, I'm going to read your comments. And also, this is an invite for you guys to drop the comments, ask the questions, and to my best of my ability, I'm going to just try to tune in. And like I'm going to speak into where we are still settling for less, and what kind of energetics that is actually playing. And it's all, if it's all the programming, where we're missing the point and reducing ourselves, and like believing that, this is enough. Oh, I created this much, so I should be okay with it. But every time we up level, there's a whole new horizon that we are now actually, that is available for us, that we can now see. Every time we up level and get to a place of a new vantage point of seeing things, now there's more available for us. Yet, where in our programming are we still, oh, like this should be enough, or I'm happy with this? And we do this very subtly. Very subtly. I'll give you an example from myself. Um, like when I am claiming that, like, that is my deepest heart's desire, if I'm not like fully trusting myself that I can do that, it's like even within the conversation, even if it may sound like I am very confident and I'm claiming that, like there is this energetics. It's like, mm, like the plate's full. Come here, maybe, maybe you should not like claim this big claims. And that is the programming. And someone said here in the comments, especially the woman. Yes, especially the women who are actually trailblazing and changing the entire trajectory of their ancestry lines, which in my case, I am that woman. And I'm sure if you're here, you're that woman and man, like doing that for your own lineage. So because we do not have a model in our own lineage and didn't grow up with, the role models who did that, who showed that like certain things are possible to claim, to play big. It's possible. We don't know that. And, there are even programmings that are running. I'm going to outshine these people in my life, or they're like, I'm just going to separate myself from my family. That one of those, like those are actually my narratives that I used to run with. Okay, if I shine, like I'm just going to outshine my sister. If I do this, I'm going to separate myself. Like if I become really successful, I'm going to separate myself from my family. And those, like, it's very subtle, but like there's fear in that. And that is actually holding us down in this, like reducing ourselves into something that, that's not in alignment with our hearts. And we stay there. We stay there because we want to belong. We stay there because we want to stay safe. We stay there because we don't trust our like soul, the spirit, the strength of our spirit, that we don't trust that we have the capacity and the capability that actually create a whole new level of life for ourselves that is in alignment with our hearts, that is in alignment with, like the highest good of all, that is in service to the highest good of all. So, for those of you who are just joining, like this has started with the question of, are you a kind of person that can bet on yourselves, herself, himself? Are you a kind of person who can actually like, and also thinking that like everything that your heart desires and your soul is calling you towards is at stake if you're not betting on yourself and showing up for it. And the reason majority of humanity is not showing up and settling for less, because there is a huge discomfort that comes with saying, I'm betting on myself, I'm showing up for it. And that, like that claim or that reclamation invites us to go deep inward and clean and clear anything that's in alignment with that. And that is the part not a lot of people want to do it. So, because it's uncomfortable to look at our stuff that we believed or we believe about ourselves, and we don't want to, take off those masks. So, I'm reading like my own notes from my own journaling session, really, because it was really inspiring. At it's like, especially when, and I am at a precipice of a whole new expansion, and like we are all at a precipice of a whole new expansion. All of us, all of us. So many things are changing. And how do we align ourselves? Are we going to bet on ourselves? Or are we going to say, this much is enough? I am betting on this much. But more than that, it is uncomfortable and I don't trust myself enough. And what is it? Like, can we stay in the question? Can we ask the question? And can we stay curious? So that, like within that curiosity and the contemplation, more content, internal content can reveal itself so that we can work with it. Because we don't know what we don't know, coming back full circle, right? Can we stay curious and look at our whole entire lives? How do we um, like receive the data? What is the data that we're receiving? And what are we choosing? What are we choosing? You know how they say, I mean, the amount of pain that we're feeling is the same, whether we're feeling the pain of staying the same, staying where we are, or stepping up the game and going through the discomfort, the pain of actual changing. And I completely get it. It changes your entire network of people. It changes your best friends. It changes your relationship with your loved ones. It asks you to drop this toxic relationship you're in. It is scary, all these things when we actually start betting on ourselves and choosing ourselves and knowing and following our heart's desires. It may get actually challenging. And to really drop the old and take the first step and not knowing where it's going to take you. But your heart will never leave you astray. That calling will never leave you astray. Your past selves, your now selves, your future selves are all in one. So your future self knows like that you actually got that. You wouldn't have that desire in deep in your heart if that wasn't for you. And here, when I say this desire, and like I'm not talking about egotistical desires. There's a way that you can discern what is your heart's and your spirits and soul's calling that you came here to be, and what is it that your ego wants. And there's a deep, like very, like it's a fine line sometimes. But if you're actually creating like energetic space for the energies to move and move the like the density and the traumas and the dramas that are living in our body, if we start moving the energy, we're going to be actually really able to discern what is the soul's calling and what is the ego's like desires. And it may be the case that you're asking yourself, like, holy shit, I am being invited. Like, I am given this vision that actually trembles my knees, and I have no idea how I'm going to actually get there. But I'm going to bet on myself because this is the calling that is calling me forward. And we don't need to know how. All we get to do is clean and clear anything in the way that is actually keeping us in the belief that we're not worthy of it and we can't do it, or we should not be doing it because it's just like so grandiose, so big. Who am I to dream this big? Does it make sense, you guys? And one of the main themes of our lives, I think, in my opinion, should be waking up to the fact that we get to do the work to become become a kind of person who can bet on themselves. And there's so many different ways to do this. And I'm going to talk about like some practical tools. I'm going to talk about some tools that I always talk, because ultimately, there's a way that we can actually free ourselves from these like belief systems that are keeping us in that space. And that creates where we want to be and where we are, and the space in between creates a lot of suffering. And I have been working with some people, and like when people apply to work with me, they go through this application process and I ask them questions, and they're like, I cannot tell you how many people are actually talking about, like, I have this potential, I have this energy inside of me that knows that I'm here to do big things. I'm not like supposed to be here, but somehow like I can't get myself to the other side. You have no idea how many times I have heard this in my entire career. And you have no idea how many times I actually personally felt that. Like I have all this like energy and somehow like what? Who? Me? Yes. You. There's no mistakes. If if it is actually placed in your heart, whatever it is, in whatever area of your life, if it is actually placed in your heart, there's no coincidence. You're going to be being called to it. And like more and more of us, or more and more people are being called to actually share. More and more people are being called to actually do this kind of deep work. So basically, the answer of the question, guess why you're settling for less? I would say because of lack of trust, not only to ourselves, but to the visions that we have in our hearts. Not only to ourselves and the visions that we have in our hearts, but to God. How do we cultivate even more trust? There's no mistake. There's no mistake, but we get to choose it. We get to choose it. We get to show up for it. The main center, the center of our lives should be really cleaning and clearing and coming in alignment with those versions of us who are actually playing that game of betting on ourselves fully, fully. And this, whatever you are doing with your life, it may look like so many different things betting on ourselves and really empowering ourselves from within, taking our power back from the programming to little from the little voices that are telling us we can't, or all the reasons why we should not, all the reasons why it's not safe to shine, all the reasons why it's not safe to grow, all the reasons why it's not safe to expand beyond where we are right now. There's so many reasons. If you're looking for reasons, we're always going to find reasons. We're always going to find reasons because there's always going to be parts of us that are operating from the lower, like frequencies that are not like fully transmuted yet. But what are we going to listen? Are you going to listen to your heart, or are you going to listen to your default programming? What actually believes that you're not worthy of like having the life that you actually know in your heart that you deserve? I am at a place in my life. I am also really, really having this conversation with the shadow parts of me. Some parts of me want to actually just like sit back. Who are you to do these things? And then the future versions of me who already have gone and walked through these paths is calling me forward to step up and bet on myself, bet on my medicine. And it is scary, I'll tell you, to change. It is actually at times really like, oh my God. And bravery implies fear being in the space with you. Are we going to be brave? Are we going to be walking brave with our lives, with like what God is calling us forward? Or are we going to stay, like where we are? And it is a choice, and there's no right or wrong. You can't stay there. But that also includes the pain and the energy that is constantly living inside of you, that potential living inside of you that's unmanifest, and your soul deep down knows that you have that potential. And we talked about yesterday or the other day on the live broadcast. A lot of us are walking through this life being pissed. Why? Because they know they have more inside of them. They are not, like expressing, they don't know how to express. They know they have a higher potential and higher calling, but they are not showing up for it. But they are going and projecting their stuff onto people, being jealous of people, like putting down on people, reducing themselves and walking around. They're angry, frustrated. Why? Because they know they are here for more. And are we going to be one of those people, or are we going to actually show up? Whatever it is that we're here to serve, we all have medicine. We all have medicine. Whether you're painting and just creating and putting that like frequency flowing through you onto a canvas, whether you're creating music, whether you're writing poetry that no one ever listens, whether you're writing a book that's sitting there and I dare you to publish it, and whatever it is that you're like, that's creativity. God is moving through you, and those frequencies want to be served into the field, and we are all carrying those medicines, and that is our service. Our service is being available, opening ourselves enough, cleaning and clearing our channel enough to be available for God, for a life force energy, whatever it is that you call that. I call it God because it's God in my reality, so that God can move through me. But I get to do my part and show up and, like purge and clean and clear and scream and cry all the things that I have been keeping inside, so that I don't bring forth that, I don't live from that space, but I actually dare to feel and experience my entire humanity and everything that I have experienced, so that I can clear my channel to move like more energy in my body, more light in my body. And that is my service. And if this is only the only thing that I'm doing, that's my service. I know that. And we make choices. And my deepest intention and prayer in this moment for us, for those of you who are listening in the future now and here now live, to really tune into that and wake up to the fact that you actually are, you have the capacity, you have the potential to be a person who can bet on themselves, but you got to choose it. You got to show up for the gunky stuff, like the challenging stuff. Okay. Everything depends. Someone says everything depends on your past karma. Yes, and when it's our time, are we choosing it? Are we choosing it? I know so many people who understand the concept that they are the ones who are choosing their reality, but still not showing up for it, fully participating. So, we're like, yes, we can bring the concepts of the meta into the moment, but also if you're actually in this moment receiving this information, somehow you're being invited. So listen to that message, if you will, and you get to choose. My job is to just talk about it. It's my job. Talk about it, be, and just show up for it, for my life, for my own life. That's my job. And I can only do my work. And the only thing I can do for you is to work on myself, like Baba Ramdas says. And the only thing you can do for me is work on yourself. And together we co create a whole new reality. I'm looking for some comments and questions if there's. So someone says, how do we see these next levels before they happen? So sometimes we don't see it. So right now, I'll tell you from my experience, I know the larger vision. I know the energetics of it. I have been given the vision. I'm a seer. Like that's one of the gifts that I have. I'm a visionary. I see things. Yet there are times I don't even know what next. And in those moments, the actual trusting portion, the actual work is to trust that you are being guided, you are being held by your vision. I always say we're not holding the vision. The vision is holding us, the vision is moving us. If I were to hold that giant vision, I like it would be just so heavy on my shoulders. I trust and surrender into the higher vision to move me wherever it is that I'm supposed to go. We have a whole master class in the portal about this whole vision holding us. If you guys are interested, you can go into the and become a member. It's we have live master classes in the portal, and I love talking about my visions in the visionary states and all these things. Um, so instead of the one like being like connected, like waiting for the actual vision to be seen, can you intuitively just follow the signs, the breadcrumbs, and trust that you're going to be guided? If you're actually listening, you're going to be guided to the right place. When you're supposed to see it, you're going to see it. When you're supposed to know the next step, you're going to know it. So really releasing our like grasp to know before we take action. We take action and the steps are revealed. It's like driving in the night, right? Like we don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in the next moment. Someone asks this question, what is the ultimate cosmic truth for all individual species of life forms? Is this world safe for us? Are we safe for this world? Are we safe in this multidimensional universe? So, like, who am I to speak the ultimate truth, guys? Who am I to speak the ultimate truth? The ultimate truth only happens when we stop searching for it. And we're still searching, as far as I'm concerned. So, yet, I believe, like if you're asking my belief systems, I believe all is God. So we are safe. Someone says when we succeed, we have imposter syndrome because we hold back, claiming our new power. We don't feel worthy. So, I mean, imposter syndrome can happen two different ways. One is that you have done the due diligence, you have studied, you know what you're about, but it's still coming up as a result of your programming. Two, it's you're really just lying to yourself. And one, it can be easier, like when you actually know that you've done it and there's fear, you feel like, and like be gentle with yourself in those vulnerable moments when you're ready and you're starting to step up into those parts and you feel like an imposter. Let's say you've never done it before, it's your first time, but you can do it. In those moments, be gentle with your vulnerable part, like what is it, portion of that. Because yes, you're not going to be this, like, the pro, the master of your craft until you start taking steps. And in the beginning, it may feel like you're an imposter. And do your work. Just constantly check in with what the internal conversation is. The internal conversation will happen, but it's up to you to turn it down and turn it up and take, like, action depending on to your past programming in the internal conversation, basically. So there's a question which I don't understand. Someone says we can choose integrity and heart. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Amazing. All right. Let me see. Thank you so much. Um, we get the puzzle pieces, never the full picture. Someone says that's so true. Passion leads the way. Yes. Everything is very simple. Please don't make it complicated. Yeah, simple yet complex. Bye bye. Thank you so much for your prayer, and thank you so much for bringing Lakshmi into this space. I appreciate you. All right, so I think we're done with this. And with the reading the comments. When I was reading the comments in YouTube, it's like the camera like angle is funny. But yeah, so this is pretty much it. The reason we are settling for less is there's so many different reasons why we don't trust ourselves, we don't trust our visions, we don't trust God. So how do we take responsibility and wake up to the fact that we can be a type of person that can bet on themselves? And it is a choice. And how do we do that work? There's so many different ways to do that work. In my field that I have been studying and holding space for people with this kind of work, like nervous system work is really important. Shadow work is really important. And inner child work is really important. And I'll bring the actual case for inner child in this case, um, doing a really, like inner child healing is why it's important, especially when we are actually claiming our new, versions. It's like there is a part of us inside of us that believes that's not safe. So we get to actually learn to hold that child and, teach that child that it is safe to show up, because maybe in our past it wasn't safe to be seen and talk and, like speak up. And now when we are doing it, we get to actually first convince and actually have that child inside of us feel safe. So, child work is really important in this case. I mean, subconscious work is really important. Like the entire body of work that I'm doing is basically use neuroplastic healing. Neuroplastic healing means that we can actually change. And there are different vantage points to address this kind of healing, this kind of new embodiment, new way of being, new way of thinking, expanding our capacity to hold our new creations, to hold our new being. Uh, um, and then, like actually learn about our real capacity. Because, if we are not doing our nervous system work and opening capacity, even though we know that we have all this potential inside of us. It's just a potential. An acorn holds the entire oak tree, but we get to plant it. So planting the acorn is doing the actual excavation work, really learning to regulate, really befriending your nervous system, knowing yourself, and integrating your shadows, really reparenting yourself, and using the power of your emotions and the technology of the body, right? So we do this work. I teach this work in Be Your Own Medicine, my pre-recorded. Someone says capacity is the real key, which is like really the real key. So in Be Your Own Medicine, my pre-recorded trauma-informed self-study course is teaching all the things that I have been talking about, all the modalities and more, with so much micro practices that can support your expanding your capacity with the understanding, because we got to know what energetics we're working with. Because if we don't know, yes, you can do, breath work, but why are you doing the breath work if you're already activated and you're doing a lot of breath work that is, like upregulating you? You're just actually creating more stress response in your body. So to know the energetics and how to work with these things, I'm teaching it in the course. It's still half off. The pre-sale price, if you guys want to go check it out, the links are in my bio. If you don't know how to get to the bio, you can send me a message, personal message saying medicine. I will send you the link. And there's also amazing master classes from amazing, professionals who are I have a neuroscientist. I have a medical doctor talking about microdosing psilocybin. I have a shamanic practitioner talking about like soul retrieval and inner child work and parts work from a perspective of shamanism. So there's like so many different perspectives. There's amazing extra bonuses within that to really design our lives. And there's like amazing pre-recorded meditations, hypnotherapy sessions to really anchor in and create this like capacity and create a whole new baseline. So if you guys are interested, go ahead and let me know. Other than that, I am offering one-on-one work. If you're really feeling called to do one-on-one work with me, it's called Mirrorship. You can message me Mirrorship and I will send you some information in the application form. I am getting ready to launch a mastermind for individuals who are, getting ready to serve, to actually getting ready to be seen and really learning to cultivate capacity. So for actually creators, for healers, for like the people who I'm teaching the path that I have walked to create what I created. So if you're on that path and can use some support, just stay tuned for that. And I mentioned about the portal, my membership, and pretty much it. There's Living Light every Wednesday, free newsletter. I share about my stories, my insights, whatever it is, like my poetry. Like if you want to just stay in the field, just sign up for the newsletter every Wednesday directly to your inbox. Yeah, that's pretty much it for today. Tomorrow, probably around the same time, I'm going to show up. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for showing up for this work. Thank you for your attention. That is the ultimate kind of generosity. So thank you so much for your generosity of attention and time and energy. And I will see you tomorrow. Bless.